Grand evening, East Coast, West Coast, and everywhere in between. Welcome to the MWR Financial Make Wealth Real University. My name is Darrell R. Banks, two-star executive director and founding member of MWR Financial, and your host of our weekly corporate event, where you get to hear from the experts and invited professionals to give you the education you need to succeed to get on the other side of money. Please take these last few moments to get your members on a platform and your team so they can hear and see the true value of such a membership offered from the ultimate cash flow company. I tell you what, guys, we are excited to be excited of the information that you're going to hear tonight, because this information is just not taught in any institution. Not only that, learning that this type of an account is usually accessible to an accredited investor, and you have now access to this exclusive invitation only membership. So I tell you what, we are excited, guys, and be sure that you are registered for our national convention coming up in August. I tell you what, the 2023 Celebration of Champions National Convention in Vegas is going to be amazing. You want to be registered, so be sure to go to makewealthrealevents.com, makewealthrealevents.com, and get yourself registered, because I tell you what, it is going to be amazing, and you're not going to want to miss any of this information that's going to be there on that weekend. I tell you what, it's going to be exciting. So again, guys, listen, take a few last few moments, get your team, get your members in on this cash flow conversation, because you're going to want it. Grab your pen and pad to take copious notes on the information that's going to be delivered. Let's see who we have out there on our pipeline tonight. Oh, we got Meridian, welcome. Beverly Thomas, welcome. Henderson, North Carolina. Mr. Dale Pennell, welcome. Patrick out of what's Beverly? Good evening. Peace and blessings, Miss Turner. Good evening. Elgin, South Carolina. Good evening. Brooklyn, New York. Good evening. All right, let's see here. We got Atlanta, Georgia in the house. Good evening. We got Atlanta, Georgia again. Good evening. Tampa, Florida. Welcome. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Welcome. Killeen, Texas. Welcome. Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome. Dallas, Texas. Welcome. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, welcome. Alabama, welcome. Gary, Indiana, welcome. North Dakota, welcome. New Jersey, my hometown, welcome. Chicago, Illinois, welcome. Phoenix, Arizona, welcome. Goldsboro, North Carolina, welcome. Virginia Beach, welcome. Los Angeles, California, welcome. Again, Los Angeles, welcome. California, welcome. Folks chiming in from all over the country to get this information. And let's go ahead on and let's give it to you. The gentleman I'm about to bring on, his success in the industry is well documented. He has built teams of tens of thousands from across this nation. He knows how to build and build big. His knowledge in the industry and experience has helped propel MWR Financial to be the ultimate cash flow company. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to our live president of MWR Financial, Mr. Indamo Tosin. Mr. Tosin, are you there?
I am. Darrell, how are you?
And if it gets any better, I'm not going to be able to stand it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Darrell. As always, you, along with our producer in the background, Martina, Britt Yelverton, but you, Darrell, you all consistent, always here. Get us ready to go, never have to wonder or worry if that's going to happen. I appreciate that you've taken that responsibility, taken it seriously, been professional, get better all the time. So I love it. Thank you so much for all that you do, Darrell. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to get right to the point, because you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from the experts. And the reason why we have these experts and what makes MWR such a special place, I want you to think about something for a moment. Imagine a company where just by utilizing the services, it can actually pay for or make your business free, pay for the cost of your business, and you never ever successfully built the business, because it's the only company that in this industry, it's the only company I know where you can buy a service and then it actually pays you more than what it costs you. That's what it is here at MWR. Literally, all you have is we have the experts that do the work for you, so you get proven, predictable, positive results. Why is that the case? Because you have licensed professional experts doing the work for you, So that happens. And because you get these results, which are documentable, if all you do is just share these incredible results with the people that you know, the people that you engage with, the people that you interact with, the people you want to quote unquote influence on social media, all of those people, you just say, hey, let me tell my story. Is it okay if I just share with you? And you kind of see it evolve. So they can see you went through this service and that service and this service, and you got what you're going to experience tonight. So that's why you're here, to understand what it is, and then know that I need to engage in this, because this is not only going to move me forward in my money. And you heard what I said today. If you're making less than 2% in a savings account, and you want to know how to have that double and almost triple, if you will, in terms of having a predictable, now watch this, uninterrupted compound interest kind of happening to money that you just have sitting aside somewhere that's not doing much for you, because it's getting more, for most people, less than 1%. Well, if you want that, then ladies and gentlemen, you need to listen up. If you want to know how to turn your debt into wealth, then you are on the right platform, listening to the right expert. So let me bring that expert up. This expert, I will tell you, is magnificent. It's interesting. His story is amazing, because at one time, he's an athlete, going to college, playing, shooting hoops, thinking that, and he may have had the plan, like a lot of people, to go to the NBA, but here's God had a different plan for him, because they put him in a position to help many. And guess what happens? Not only can he, but he can help others get paid like they're in the NBA, because of the opportunities that present themselves, and how it can structure. And this is the beautiful things, how he can help you with a diversified cash flow account, create an environment that allows you to know what you're going to leave your children's children, because that's what creating true generational wealth is all about, leaving an inheritance, as the good book says, for your children's children. If you want, this is what you get here. This gentleman is documented. He is licensed, a licensed professional, and has been for several years. It has literally helped thousands of people get money as an issue out of the way, in terms of knowing where their future is going. He's an expert in this area, and this is who you want to hear from. And that's none other than Mr. Ike Manello. Ike, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Hey, I'll tell you what, man, just even hearing your voice, it reminds me of, I just heard Daryl say everybody needs to get to conference. And it reminded me of last time when we were in a conference in Florida, and just hearing you move the crowd, move everybody, even hear you through here. I'm ready to go. I'm super excited, man, just to be part of this, not just the program, but to be part of MWR, because like you said, it's not, and I want to say every day, I'm saying I can't remember when I've seen a company that sets the platform up, almost sets the table up, and all you got to do is come eat, right? All you got to do is bring the people. So I'm super excited about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right into it. We're going to get into this presentation. And look, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ike Manello, and part of my story is, like Damo said, I was playing professional basketball, ended up life turning, getting into the financial field. And I'm normally a calm guy. I'm normally the type of person where I'm not gonna go in on you. I'm just gonna keep quiet. But today we're gonna take the gloves off a little bit, and we're gonna act a little bit out of character, because there's some things that we need to talk about. We need to talk about this banking system and what is really going on, because most of us go to work, take care of our family, come home, and we don't have time to actually research what's going on. So 80% of us get caught up in the wind. And what happens is we look up and we say, well, when did this happen? And so we're going to talk about the banking system and what's really going on. And then we're going to talk about the diversified cash flow account. And then I'm going to give an MWR example today. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room, if you don't know it, there's actually been 5 banks that's failed this year. But in the US, these 3 major banks, Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic Bank, and Signature Bank, accounted for 2.4% of all the banking assets. Now think about this. Within the first 6 months of this year, three huge banks have failed. It's not stopping either. If you don't know who Jamie Dimon is, he's the CEO of Chase Bank, and he says it's just getting started. I mean, he says it's not even close to being over as far as how many banks are failing. But the question I had is this: why now? Like, banks have been around for a while, so why now? Like, why now? And I came up with two reasons, and I didn't come up with it. I'm not smart enough to just come up with myself. So I'm one of those people. I'm always doing research. I'm always reading. I'm always learning, and I can myself to doing things that we call it nerd work, right? You know, just reading the financials and reading what's going on. And the first thing that I realized is banks don't have any money. Now, I know a lot of us know about the fractional reserve system and how you banks take your money, invest it, but most of us aren't aware that as of 2020, banks are not required to keep any reserves. Now, I hope you heard me. They don't have to keep any reserves on hand. So let's talk about this for a second, because the fractional reserve system was created in 1913, and even when it was created, it was messed up. But at that point, at least banks had to have a certain amount, and then they could lend money. It was weighed on gold and things like that. But a lot has changed since 1913, because here's what happens. You take your money, I take my money, I invest in a bank. Banks lend all of our money out, like not a little bit of our money, all of our money. They lend it out. And I'm gonna show you how that works here at the end, an example. But I like having these piggy banks on here because it reminded me of when I was younger. And for those of you who had piggy banks, you know, you put money in the piggy bank and then you shake it, you know, there's money there. And then when it's really quiet, you know, you might have some dollar bills and some stuff in there, but you hold on to that piggy bank, right? And you keep that piggy bank. And I don't know about you, but this is how it happened for me. One day I came home and I looked for my piggy bank, but all I saw was pieces, residues of the piggy bank. So somebody had broken it. Now, I could have got mad, but you know, at the time I was only 5 or 6. So I just remember thinking the only person that could have got this would have been my parents. So I go to my parents, they say, "Oh, don't worry. I know exactly how much money you had in there, and I'm going to give it back to you whenever you need it. So if you need the money, don't worry about it. I'm going to give it back to you whenever you need it." And so I started thinking when I started looking at these banks, because even though they said my money was there, my parents did, I like seeing it. Like, I like holding on to it. I like knowing it was there. And I started thinking that's what these banks are doing, because the second reason that banks are failing is because they rely on your deposits. They rely on my deposits. So what happens when a lot of people start worrying about banks and a lot of people start pulling money out of their accounts? Well, what happens is banks have no money. And what that leads to is bank failures. So let's take an example of First Republic. First Republic, and they went on record and say this. They said the main reason for us failing is over $100 billion was taken out of our bank on the first quarter. They said $100 billion of deposits was taken out. So I got to thinking. They basically said, look, we don't have any money. And if you take money out of our bank, then we don't have a bank. So I started thinking, well, what's the purpose of the bank? And then I started thinking even further. And I want you to just rock with me for a second. Think about this. If banks require new deposits to stay alive, that sounds very similar. And then they take that money and they invest it, they give it away, but they really don't have any money, i.e. they really don't have a business. I couldn't figure out the name for what it sounded like, but I was like, there's a certain kind of scheme that I told you we're taking off the gloves today. A Ponzi scheme. Because if a bank takes my money and they lend it out, but then if everybody takes all their money out, they can't give me my money back. That sounds very similar to a Ponzi scheme where there's really no money there, where somebody's just taking money and just giving money away. The sad part about this is not only is it a Ponzi scheme, but we're willing players in this Ponzi scheme every single day. And for most of us, it's just because we don't know. Here's the worst part, because and I understand how people work, but I don't understand the thought process behind ultra greed. Most bank executives don't even care, right? They're not worried about the bank failing. Do you know why? Because they know the FDIC is going to bail them out. Think about all the banks that fail. They don't go to bankruptcy and lose everything. No, they get bailed out. Now, when me and you go bankrupt, we don't get bailed out. Not only do they get bailed out, but they make millions of dollars in bonuses while they're getting bailed out. So who pays for all this? I mean, if the FDIC, and this is why I started thinking, if the FDIC is backing these people and they don't worry about losing money, well, who's backing the FDIC? You, me. The FDIC is backed by taxpayer dollars. So we're in a position right now to where not only are we playing a game that we're losing, but we're funding the game. We're funding the game that's losing our money. So let's break it down real quick, because I want to go over this. Most of the time, let's do it. So most of the time, whenever we're lending out bank money, whenever we put our money in the bank, I want to kind of give an idea of what happens. You take money, you deposit in the bank, and just kind of take a look at this picture real quick. You take money, you deposit in the bank. Let's say it's $100,000, and let's say the bank says they're going to give us some type of interest rate, 1%, 2%, 4%. As soon as they take our money and we put it in the bank, they take it, and somebody else needs a home. They take that same money, they loan it to them for the home. But the seller makes money too. So now the seller gets money deposited in the bank, but then somebody else needs a car loan. They loan it for more. But guess what? The car dealer made money. They deposit in the bank. Somebody else needs a remodel. They take it out. Then the contractor, then the debt. On average, banks are making anywhere between 400 and 2,000% on our money. But how is that possible? It's possible because they don't need any money. They use your money. They use my money. So why are we talking about this, and why the diversified cash flow account? Because the diversified cash flow account is guaranteed growth. You heard what Damo said at the beginning, putting yourself in a position to get uninterrupted compound interest, right? Dividend growth, complete privacy. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were worried about some things that have happened with lawsuits, things like that. And they said, well, the challenge is I don't want them to come after my money. And I said, they won't even know how much money you have, because that's all in your diversified cash flow account. Complete privacy, tax-free growth, safe money. Now, here's the kicker. Since we're talking about banks, I decided I want to be fair, because we got to be fair. So I wanted to see if we've had a total of 5 banks that have completely went out of business in the last 6 months. I was thinking, well, the place where we're putting where the DCA is, diversified cash flow account, is, how many of them went out of business this year, right? How many times have they lost money? So I found out 5 total banks have failed in 2023. Since 1842, one DCA establishment has failed. Since 1842, one. Yet 5 banks have failed this year. So why, if these are the facts, and they are, you can do the research, if these are the facts, why are we willing players and funding a game that we're going to lose? Most of us is because we don't know any better. We don't know any better, right? This is just what we've done. This is what our parents did. This is what we don't know any better. We just do what everybody else has done. So I want to give an example of what MWR people are doing, what MWR clients are doing, because this is a real MWR client. And pardon, I scratched out some stuff for privacy, but these are real numbers. And so what happens when you set up an appointment with us, what happens is we take real numbers in. And this right here is a mortgage. You see the loan amount. The one thing I want to point out over here is, whenever you're in MWR and you're putting your information in the system, we want you to put, where it says minimum payments, we want you to put principal and interest payments into the mortgage side only, right? On the MWR it says minimum payments. We want you to put principal and interest payments. And that's what this client did. Put principal and interest payments on there. Take a look at debt, right? I tell people, the more exact you are with your debt, the more exact we are with how fast we can get you out of debt, right? So what this person did is they found out what their exact interest rate was. If you notice, it's 26.74. They didn't round. We don't want people to round. We want the exact interest rate. $47,000 worth as far as debt. They just got a new home, right? They're paying $26.39 a month in bills. And what we're able to do whenever you set up an appointment with me or any of our teammates, what we're able to do is we're able to show you where you're at right now. How long are you going to be in debt for? Which is all I want to know. And, sometimes we'd rather not know because we know how bad it is. But the only way to take the road less traveled is to know which road to go. And the only way you know which road to go is to know where you're at right now. And so this person in particular was going to be in debt for 28 years and 7 months. 28 years and 7 months when we sat down with them. But here was the worst part. And this is what I see on a daily basis. $156,707 worth of interest was going to be paid. And I'll tell you right now, this is very normal. This is very common. And most people don't realize it. Most people think, well, you know what? I heard a guy say earlier, he said, well, you don't got to worry about my mortgage because before all the interest rate rising, I still got a 3.7%. When I showed him this, he saw because of the way the banks are structured, because of the way mortgages are structured, he was still paying 48% in interest of his mortgage. So if you think about this person's real debt was $455,192. But the killer was $156,707 worth of interest. So here's what we were able to do. We were able to get this person out of debt in 6 years and 9 months. Now, I don't know if you're driving. I don't know if you're cleaning, doing the dishes. I don't know what you're doing, but I want you to pay attention to what I just said. 28 years and 7 months to 6 years and 9 months. How? Because we're using the diversified cash flow to get uninterrupted compound interest, still be able to use the money and take the money and then put it toward debt. But it gets even better. And I'll wrap up with this. $103,115 of interest saved. I remember talking to him and I said, you know what? This meeting right here, even though this was only a 30-minute meeting, this meeting made you $103,115. So my question for all of you as I wrap up, my question for all of you is this, and we can take off the slides. My question for all of you is this. Are you going to continue doing what you've always been doing? Are you going to continue to do like I was, right? The only reason I remember being so excited about getting a 401k, the only reason I was excited because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. I thought that you just get a 401k. I remember being so excited about putting money in the bank and saying, yeah, guess how much money I got in the bank? Guess how much money I got in the bank? Why? Because all I did was follow what everybody else has been doing. And so my challenge to everybody here as we close off is this. Put yourself in a position starting today. If you're already here, you're already in MWR, you already have the membership, use it. Talk to my team. Get yourself in a position to where you can use the DCA to not just pay off debt, but take back the banking functions of your life. Appreciate you let me speak. And I'll bring back up Ndamo. And for those of you who, like I said earlier, you haven't got a chance to get in front of this man. I like to say when he gets a microphone, he's Clark Kent in the background. But when he gets a microphone, he turns into Superman. So I'm looking forward to being at a conference, getting the motivation, the education, and the knowledge from Mr. Tolson. I appreciate everybody for letting me join. Be blessed. We'll see you the next time.
Ike, man, thank you. That was so awesome. I hope people truly understand what they heard. If you haven't, you got to listen to this over and over because Ike just laid it all down for you. In fact, Ike, I'm going to tell some people something, so we're going to let you go because I know you need to go. But right now, and this is something that's not specific to DCA, but people have their money sitting in these kind of accounts. If you have a PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, you need to get that money out like today. I mean, it is about to go down where your money's going to get locked up and frozen in those accounts, and then you don't get it back. You need to get your money out of those accounts. And again, if you have money just stagnant, that's just sitting there and it's not really doing much for you, you look at the little returns, it's hardly anything. You need to, I would stop everything, get to the back office, go look at the DCA, look at the videos, and then schedule an appointment so you can at least have this conversation. Like you just heard, someone just saved $103,000 because they spent 30 minutes to find out where they are and where they want to go. Okay, so Ike, man, I appreciate you big time. So many people have been impacted at MWR by you. I hear all kind of positive things from people that have gotten their DCA accounts. They're all excited. They know the path now that they're going to go down. So thank you so much, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you heard tonight, give some fire emojis, some money signs, whatever you need to do. Let Ike know so he knows that I'll come back next month. If they like it that much, I'll be back next month.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And you just said the key. And I'm glad that MWR has a leader that's bold enough to tell people the truth. The money that's sitting in these accounts it's almost like there's a fire that's burning. And once it gets to your money, it's going to be gone. So I appreciate you for speaking the truth. Appreciate you for allowing me to speak the truth to everybody. Again, I look forward to seeing everybody at the next event. If not, we'll see you next month.
All right. I appreciate everybody. Have a great evening. Daryl, we're going to throw it back to you. You can let everybody know what's coming for next week and about our event and our Celebration of Champions event 2023 in Las Vegas. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks, Daryl. You're on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. There you go.
The information that we received tonight, it's this life-changing, guys. And I tell you what, if you have not scheduled your consultation, go ahead on into your new back office and get that consultation scheduled. Be sure, again, to register yourself for our national convention. That web address, again, is makewealthrealevents.com, makewealthrealevents.com. Get yourself registered for our 2023 Celebration of Champions because we want to see you there on the scene to get this information and also see the excitement of what MWR Financial is doing. Be sure to tune in next Thursday, 8:30 p.m., same time, where we're going to be bringing to you yet another part of our platform and our cash flow membership. With that being said, guys, have a great evening.